Why does it seem like everybody is always trying to sell you something? It seems like with the increase in popularity around spirituality and wellness, there always is someone right around the corner trying to make a buck off of your healing, your trauma, your pain, and your connection to your spiritual self, to your soul. So why is that, and what is that? What is this incessant commodification of wellness and healing? So I kind of like to think of this as there being two worlds that we exist in. And one of those worlds is the world of our spiritual self, the world of the unseen, the world of the intuition, the soul's knowing, the world of nature, the frequency of the natural world and the spiritual world, and those two things are one and the same. And then there's this other world, this manufactured world, the world of the human experience, sometimes known as the Matrix, right? And this Matrix world, this artificial crafted world system that we exist in, is all about making money, right? It's about gaining something, whether even if it's not money, it's recognition, it's followers, it's whatever that insatiable hunger for some type of acknowledgement within that system to be able to say, I have succeeded in some way, or I have purpose beyond just existing and being here now in my unique soul frequency. So these two worlds can sometimes be at odds with each other, even though they do overlap and they do often mirror each other, right? And so when I think about the commodification of spirituality, I understand where terms like cultural appropriation come from. Not that I'm one to ascribe to those kind of like politicized beliefs, because I do believe that culture in its essence is shared and passed down. But I understand the distaste for what is sacred being taken from its place of reverence and connection to where it came from, and it just being repackaged and resold without any respect for its lineage or for its sacredness, right? And I think that that's the issue that a lot of people have with this idea of cultural appropriation, is it's like taking these sacred concepts and ideas and turning them into this kind of like soulless product to be marketed, right? And it's just interesting, like every single time that I open up Instagram, there's always somebody who's made, and I'm not faulting these people necessarily for doing this, because they're just trying to survive, and maybe on some level their intentions are good to like try to help others. But it's like this constant marketing scheme of like, you are not good enough in some way, and the only way that you can rectify your high cortisol or your bad sleeping habits or your childhood trauma, your avoidant attachment, whatever it is, the only solution is to buy my program, pay for my whatever, buy this thing. And until you figure out, I hold this secret, you don't hold the secret, I hold the secret. And until you purchase this thing, you will be in a deficit in some way. And so I kind of think about this because it's prevalent in spirituality across the board. It's like so many concepts are then taken and they're like, oh, you want to find your twin flame? Like, hire me. I am the one that can help you find that, or whatever it is. Like, there's so many, you see this even, this has been really prevalent in the yoga world, like this kind of like cult-like following of the guru, and the guru holds the answer, when really all of these spiritual concepts and philosophies, when put into genuine practice, are supposed to be leading you back home to yourself, to the healer within yourself, to the light and connection of source within yourself. And so as soon as we start to outsource that to a guru, to someone else outside of us, and even to the systems in and of itself, that like, I cannot be sovereign, I cannot be responsible for myself because, or I cannot be charitable, I cannot be, a positive force for change without outsourcing that to, whether it's government, whether it's religion, whatever it may be, some system outside of myself that is going to, actualize my compassion or actualize my innate right to life, right? The things that I need to be here having this human experience now. And so I often think about the different archetypes of healers. So if we think of like the shaman, for example, or we think of the witch, what are the stories that are told, that are passed down around, the stories of witches and who they were, right? Often what comes to mind, like when I think of a witch, is like the witch hidden away deep in the forest, right? And that's where like the children, they're told not to go out into the darkest places because that's where the witch is, right? And so, or the witch is sought out by the person who is seeking that magic, seeking answers, and they go into the forest to find the one who holds the mysteries, right? And it's kind of the same idea with the shaman. It's like the shaman is deep in the jungle, and the people that are seeking the healing, seeking the wisdom, seeking the knowledge, they have to go on this journey to find that. And that in and of itself, like these archetypes of the healers, the witch, the shaman, these people that are, have separated themselves from greater society in order to cultivate this wisdom and knowledge, that those archetypes are aspects of ourselves, right? Like those aspects exist, I believe, within all of us. Like we all have the ability to step back. And I think some of us are further from that because the matrix world, the 3D world, has so greatly programmed people to absolve themselves of agency, to not know themselves. I think a lot of people think they know themselves on a very surface level, but it's always that egoic state of existence, that existence within that 3D reality, because we've actually been discouraged and programmed in many ways to not step deeper into the path of self-awareness, because with that comes personal accountability and personal responsibility and awareness of our own true innate power to heal, to grow, to expand, to be our most authentic self, right? And so it's just interesting how we think of those archetypes that are separate from, they've kind of stepped back from the illusory material 3D world. But then on the other side of that, we have the snake oil salesman. So who is the snake oil salesman? That is the person who claims to be the alchemist, claims to be the magician, and they're in the town square and they're, I just get this vision of like opening the coat and there's all these like vials of potions and it's like, try my magical potion, to live forever. I have the secret to longevity. I have the secret to life. I have the secret to pleasure, to, healing your pain, whatever it may be. And I often think when I, see this behavior on social media of like this constantly like, I have the answer and I have something to sell you, it rings that energy to me, that energy of like, come see my wares, like step into my, I have the magical potion to cure you, right? And so I think that that's like just something worth observing and worth recognizing your own response to that, because I do think that these types of behaviors can be predatory. Not always, but sometimes they can be predatory, where it's like this constant, you are not good enough and I am going to convince you that your vulnerabilities, your weaknesses, your fears of not being good enough, of not having enough, of not, whatever it may be, like I'm going to use that to get what I want from you. And I think that we've probably all been victims of that behavior and mentality in some form or another in our lives. So just, observing what you are consuming, how it's affecting you, how you are consciously responding to what you're seeing, and just becoming aware of like that there can be these two realities of like spirituality that resonates with the soul and the soul's experience of life, and then spirituality repackaged and repurposed to be sold to you in some way. And with that said, just one last little point, like I do believe that there's value in gatekeeping, in a sense, certain spiritual concepts, experiences, things that you've found within yourself that have healed you or have resonated with you. They don't always have to be shared, right? Like sometimes deeper understanding and deeper wisdom can be reserved for, just those who you have vetted to be like ready to receive that information from you, right? Because what happens when we start to open up all of this information all of the time to everyone and we're just constantly bombarded with it? Well, we're finding out right now, right? Like that's kind of what social media and the internet is, like Pandora's box of information and wisdom, and so we're going to kind of find out what happens when all the secrets are revealed. And I do think as we continue to step into this, Pluto and Aquarius energy and like all of this new energy that we're stepping into in these coming years, it's going to be really interesting with AI and with technology to see how things transform and how consciousness evolves and transforms. So I just kind of wanted to share those thoughts, and if you have anything else to add or any questions, I'd love to hear from you. And I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day and that your new year is off to a wonderful start.